Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Steem Smart Podcast, the podcast that's all about Steem, the blockchain-based social media platform that's taking over the world. Today, I'm here with Gabriel Scheer and Stephen Polsky. Gabriel, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I grew up on a farm in the middle of nowhere in Canada. Kind of roamed around. I left home at a really early age and stumbled around from job to job, kind of finding my way in the world. And eventually, one thing led to another, and I found myself in Vancouver in 2013, just when Bitcoin was really starting to take off. And I got into mining, and I got really, consumed by that whole rage at that time, and
Oh
did
yeah.
pretty well. And at that time, I was also seeing advertisements on YouTube for this community that was accepting Bitcoin for real estate, and it was down in Chile. So that really piqued my, curiosity, and I started looking into that, and it attracted me down here. So I moved to Chile, and it turned out that that whole real estate project was a total scam from top to bottom. So rather than kind of turning around and writing off the whole experience as a loss, I got together with some friends and said, you know what, we can do this. So we kind of started from ground zero and gathered some friends, gathered some investors, and started a whole project of our own. And so that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years, is building up this real estate project here.
Awesome,
Magnificent.
awesome. Do you want to tell us about yourself, Stephen?
Sure. So I was in the military, grew up in Southern California, did the typical public school thing, went to the military as an intelligence analyst, did that for 3 years, got out, went a little, typical soldier, transition from soldier to civilian. I was going crazy to some extent. And then I found a lot of solace in the anarchy community and just the general attitude of grievance of government. And so because I was just out of the military, I kind of related to that. And I started getting into psychology after that, and it helped me solve a lot of my own issues I was having as a transition. And I got involved somewhere around 2013 with Bitcoin. So there was just like this natural progression of getting into that community and reading about that subject matter that led me towards Bitcoin in 2011, actually. And then, sharing that around with people. I was still a little young and too eager. I didn't follow my own advice, so I lost out on that big opportunity in 2011. I got into it in 2013, where I was put on my big boy pants and was just like, you know what? I can do this. Invested into Bitcoin a little bit, really started learning the technology, the blockchain, had the same epiphany, everybody else had regarding the blockchain, like, oh my God, this is the next technology that's going to launch us away from centralized systems. And so and so when I got into that, I just dove really deep into that, got involved in the community, did a little trading with the cryptocurrencies, like day trading and stuff like that. And then I found the Steem community, and I was just like, this is the next step to what was lacking in that Bitcoin platform. This is the easy share system that really makes it easy for people to get involved with. It's got that platform similar to Reddit, which everybody's already familiar with. And then it, on top of that, has that alternative reputation system to keep power players and whales in check so that they can't fully leverage their ability to just dominate with loads of money. You still got a reputation to uphold, and there's a psychological factor that keeps people in check there. And so I think the Steem community is really going to be the next big thing, and that's why I decided to get involved.
Awesome. Awesome. And I'm George Donnelly. I'm originally from Philadelphia. I've worked as a Chicago cabbie, as a Chicago investment banker. Let's see. I've taught English in Japan. I'm a libertarian activist. I'm a libertarian blogger. Been a Unix sysadmin. I'm a science fiction author. Whoopi Goldberg called me a terrorist once, and Joy Behar said I should be put on a watch list. The Pennsylvania Institute of Terrorism Research said I'm an anti-authoritarian, and CNN said I was a very intriguing person in 2010. So that's. You can find out. You can find my science fiction books at georgedonnelly.com. Maybe buy one there, and you can find out more about my basically revolutionary plans to. I'm a market anarchist, and to end government worldwide, to turn this into a voluntary world at morelibertynow.com. And I've been involved in Bitcoin since about 2011, and I am really psyched about Steem now, thanks to Gabriel for introducing me to it. I'm really indebted to him for that, because I tend to sometimes miss the boat on new things. And so so that's why we're doing this podcast, because Steem is. I was reading the white paper yesterday. I finished it up, and I'm just so impressed with it. It just seems like it solves a lot of the problems that Bitcoin has. It's opened my eyes in that sense. And so I think all three of us are really excited about Steem, and that's why we're doing this podcast, to bring Steem out to the larger world, to the world of people who listen to podcasts. To make it an easy. This can be an easy entry point for people who are new to it to learn about it, and also to build a tighter Steem community. As content creators, we'd like to interview you. We'd like to report on what you're up to. So that's what the Steem Smart podcast is about. That's us, your hosts. And so our next segment, what we're regularly going to do on our episodes, which are once a week, is at the very beginning we're just going to talk about this week in Steem. Yeah. So do you want to go first, Gabriel?
Sure. I mean, this whole idea of covering a whole week in a sitting like this is kind of nutty, because if you've been following the feeds and stuff, like, there's so much content coming in now. Like, basically it's just a matter of, we're going to grab a couple that catch our eye and maybe stick with us and talk about that. But I mean, ultimately, we're going to need some help here. We're going to need to interview people and stuff, because there's just so much, and not all of it's that great. I mean, let's be honest, a lot of it's just kind of people posting links to other stuff or trying to catch people's eye with a pretty picture or something. But when you actually take the time to sift through all that stuff, you do find a lot of really cool gems. And right now, like, a lot of them have to do with how Steem it is developing, not just the interface that we're all using right now, but there's third-party interfaces being worked on also. So different people have different visions of what it should look like, what our user experience should be. So some of them are more artistic looking, others are more, minimalist, kind of like what we have right now. But I mean, there's so many feature ideas that get thrown out, and people are talking about what features might be included in various different platforms that use the Steem blockchain. One that I just picked out that kind of caught my eye was the idea of modifying the voting so that it's not just a yes or a no. It's not just a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Now, I think this was proposed by username DAOIWISP. I think that's right. I mean, I'll find it and we can put a link to it.
Sure.
But he's basically saying, like, there could be multiple facets to the vote. Instead of just an up or a down, we could actually specify different factors. Like, maybe one might be how well it's written technically, the grammar, all that kind of stuff. Something else could be like how artistic it is, if we think that it's emotionally moving or something like that. Like, there could be different aspects to our vote. I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea.
That definitely sounds like giving varying shades of support or dismissal. That definitely sounds like something that's would have a lot of I guess weight, or it would change up the dynamic a lot for the Steem community, because the binary yes/no is super simplistic, and at this point we've got programmers who can create varying shades of that same dynamic. So I think that's a really good idea. And also just certain being able to, how do I want to say that? It would give further depth to the platform, and I think that's something that everybody's looking for. An ultra simple system as we have, and the high functionality that it has, is a good platform, but there's so much more to be built on it. It's kind of like the early stages of Facebook, where there weren't too many options aside from posting and poking people. And now you've got, groups and personal pages, and you've got a whole bunch of technologies from a whole bunch of other platforms being incorporated. And I think Steemit would very much benefit from that sort of integration from other platforms and taking those ideas.
Yeah. By the way, Stephen, maybe you can check your mic. We're getting a bit of static on it. But there was a really good article on the most surprising of places for me is the Huffington Post. On August 5th, they published an article, Why Blockchain-Backed Social Network Steemit Could Be the Next Evolution in Social Networking. And there'll be a link for the listeners. There'll be a link to this in the show notes, which you can find at steemit.com / Steem Smart. Okay? And really, this is a great introductory article. It's got all the basics of how it works. It's got, how to get started. And the most important step, is not just to register, but also, as the article says, to introduce yourself. And because you can make a really solid amount of money right off the top just by giving a good introductory post.
I've noticed that as well. I've noticed that some people
absolutely.
have
And I mean,
ooh, there was some delay there.
Sorry, we have a bit of a lag here. Okay, I was just going to move on to the next thing that kind of caught my eye here. But if you have something else to add to that, I'll let you finish your thought.
I lost it. It's all good. It'll come back to me, or something relevant will come back to me later.
Okay. All right. No problem. There's a third-party site that I've had my eye on called steamwhales.com, and this week they added a new feature that kind of, basically what this does is it keeps track of all of the top users, their Steam power, their reputation now. That's a new feature, so now you can sort users by how reputable they are. And then another new feature is they also add this little icon that shows who's powering down. So that kind of stirred up worries amongst some people. Like, I was receiving messages pointing this out, saying, is it weird that a lot of the early adopters, the whales, are powering down? Is that a signal that this is some kind of a Ponzi scheme, that they're trying to cash out and have new people pay in to cover their pay and stuff? So I made a video kind of explaining this, that there's really no reason to worry about that, because first of all, the way that it's structured is that nobody can just cash out and take all of their money and run. It actually takes a long time to cash out your Steam power. Think of it as stock, right? Shares in the platform that you can only take 1% out per week. So when you're a whale, I mean, 1% is a good chunk of change, but also you have to consider that they're vested in the well-being of the platform long term. So their last percentage point comes out 2 years from now. They don't want Steam to be worth nothing 2 years from now. They want their investment to grow over that time. So they're not going to do anything to hurt the value of Steam. And also, they don't really need the money. Like, they aren't pressured to pay a bill or something right away. So they're not going to rush to sell that each payment that they get at a low price. If the price of Steam is suffering or low for some reason, they'll just hang on to that Steam and wait a bit, So now that we can see who's powering down and who's not, I mean, it's cute and fun and all, but there's really nothing to worry about, I don't think, from a technical standpoint.
Yeah, I was reading the white paper, and even I think one concern is that there's a lot of inflation, created in order to pay out new rewards. But even a huge amount of that is vested, some of it vested, other of it, really vested, all of it to the existing holders of Steem Power. So, I don't think, just on a technical point of view, just with a first read of the white paper, I don't think, just a few people cashing out their Steem Power, and like you said, it's on you can only cash out a very little bit at a time. It doesn't seem like much of a concern.
No.
So this kind of actually reminds me of the regular worries of the 2013 Bitcoin bubble that formed and the following cryptocurrencies that also came about in mass. And what we saw were small pockets of people who could set up a Bitcoin-like platform with their own blockchain, give it their own name, create their own cryptocurrency, hype it up, and then within a certain amount of time from the hype, it was the bubble burst boom, and a lot of people lost a lot of money, including myself. I will not say I'm special in that, but I did learn a lot of lessons. And there's a pattern that goes on with these different communities when they're trying to do that. So that concern of whales cashing out is always a looming presence, but the Steem platform offers something that a lot of other cryptocurrencies did not, and that's the ability to share very easily and create a community. Before, it was mostly just money moving around and people getting excited for making a lot of money, and then being disappointed for losing a lot of money and then hopping on to the next bandwagon, rinse, wash, repeat. Steem comes around and breaks that cycle. It now keeps people locked in through their own interest beyond money and beyond the greed. People are really, really trying to share their material, and it's actually very high quality material that we're getting from very high quality bloggers. A lot of people who've found Steem so far have obviously taken a personal interest in their own education and in taking control of their lives. That's a really cool marker of the psychological aspect of Steem. So I'm actually
It's a really
excited.
good point that you bring up about. Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but just before we move on too much, that point about communication is something I hadn't really thought about consciously, but that's a really important point. When I found myself in this real estate scam 2 years ago now, I guess, that was something that really jumped out as being important, was that communication amongst shareholders was really discouraged, and it was really difficult. And had it been more open and free and encouraged, then a lot of the problems probably wouldn't have been possible. But I think you're absolutely right. Like Steem, really, like, it's built on a publishing platform, for crying out loud. It's a social networking platform. The whole concept is based on the necessity for fluid communication. So the very fact that communication is at the core of the whole platform, I think, is really going to make a lot of the problems that we've seen with these other coins just completely impossible.
Absolutely. It's the philosophy that drives the cryptocurrencies in general. But again, the philosophy that drives cryptocurrencies, there's a lot. It's a lot of money makers, but it's a lot of people who are wanting a decentralized currency platform, and there's a lot of people who they want transparency. They recognize that one of the philosophical issues with our world is that we are very secretive, and we, as a society, not necessarily the individuals. In fact, the individuals in the Steem platform are most likely going to be very transparent, open individuals, having done a lot of internal work considering the repercussions of a certain attitude, and they recognize the benefit of sharing and openness and transparency. And that's kind of another underlying philosophy of the blockchain network to begin with, is everything is transparent. Every single thing can be viewed by somebody who's skeptical and digging deeper. You can actually properly ruin somebody's reputation if they do something scummy, and you can't cover it up quite the same way you can in today's society, where somebody's got a lot of power, they do something scummy and continue on with their corruption. So the Steem platform and the people that'll really catch on with their popularity are going to actually deserve it, or at least theoretically they'll deserve it. I'm not sure how clever people can be to get past this, and that'll also be an interesting development that I know we'll see, but we don't have to worry about that for quite some time.
All right, so hey, let's jump into our next segment, which is we call the Steem Review. And today our guest on the hot seat is Gabriel, since he is the Pied Piper, number 12 highest reputation on the site. He's our resident whale. I don't know if you're quite a whale. I don't know how these things go or not. Are you a whale, Gabriel?
Not even close. No.
No?
No, not even close. No.
You're like a dolphin, perhaps.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. So some people who are unfamiliar with Steem, you may be thinking, what the heck is this thing? Yeah. Is it another scam like there was a social media thing a few months ago that everybody's trying to get me to sign up for. I forget the name. And supposedly you got paid for posting. And everybody posted a bunch of, what's that? What was it?
TSU. Sue.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Never heard of it again. Okay. I mean, I tried, but I never heard of it again.
Right?
But this is different. This Steem is different, okay? Steem is backed by the blockchain, which is distributed ledger technology, uncensorable, unstoppable, decentralized, okay? And it's, well, let's take a look at Steem.io. So anybody who's listening or watching can follow along if you like. Steem.io explains basically what Steem is, with nice, pretty pictures. So Steem, basically, you post content. Could be anything, really. It's the current interface, I'd say, is more geared towards something like Medium, posting blog posts. Yeah. And whenever you post, first of all, you have to sign up. And when you sign up, you get $7 worth of Steem currency, which is a bit of a complex topic that we'll get to in a second. But when you post stuff and when people like it, when they upvote it, you get paid. You could get paid a fraction of a penny, or you could get paid $15,000 for your post, you know, as we saw recently with a certain person who shall remain nameless. But you don't only get paid for posting, you also get paid for curating, for upvoting content that is popular or that is going to be popular. Also for flagging abusive content. There are other ways to get paid as well, but those are the ones that most people are going to be interested in. Gabriel, do you want to explain briefly the 3 different forms of Steem currency?
All right, so underlying everything is the basic currency Steem. It's created on a regular basis and distributed to mostly the shareholders and also partially to content creators and curators. And when you post something, for instance, let's say you want to throw up a video of you chopping wood out back for some reason, and everyone loves it, they think you look all manly and tough and stuff, and they want to throw you a nickel, upvote you, and at the end of 12 hours, you'll get your payout, which is the cumulative value of all of the upvotes. Now, when you get paid, half of it will be in Steem Power, which is essentially shares in Steemit, which can slowly be sold off. and the other half will be in Steem dollars. Now, Steem dollars are essentially an IOU that you can trade in for roughly $1 worth of Steem. I hope that answers that.
Yeah, and then so, Stephen, so let's say I posted a great post, and I made $500, half of it in Steem Power, half of it in Steem dollars. How do I turn it into Bitcoin? Briefly.
Okay, so actually, there's a lot of platforms that currently exist. There's Bitrex, that's bitrex.com, Bitrex.com. That's got a very, very open, easy to sign up and set up a series of wallets for a whole slew of different accounts. Let me see if Steem is on here. Yes, it is. So you can actually just send your Steem credits to the Steem wallet or the Steem dollars on Bitrex or other currency trading platforms. And then from there, you can just sell them off at a certain market share, like hit last 24 hours and you sell them off. And then you'll get a little, sell them for their Bitcoin. And then from there, I think most people are familiar, but in case they aren't, you take the Bitcoin address, similar to your Steem address, and then you can go to another website. I like to use Coinbase. That's my preferred website and preferred handling system for just holding Bitcoin, not really playing around with them. And then from there, they actually offer an option to cash out and directly into your bank account. So it's actually a very simple process. It's 2 to 3 websites, and with the development of Steemit right now and the quickness of this community of handling these situations, I will not be surprised if somebody along the way actually just does a direct conversion, or makes it even easier than going through those cryptocurrency trading platforms.
Yeah. But for now, it's, you can convert either your Steem dollars or your Steem through an exchange to Bitcoin. And then, of course, you can cash out. If you want to cash out your Bitcoin, you can do it at localbitcoins.com, Coinbase. You can trade with friends, whatever. So another question I've noticed is, because regular people see it, and I saw it, and they're like, okay, they pay you for posts, all right, okay. And then you go to the website and you see people earning on the front page sometimes as much as $100, $500, $10,000, $15,000. I think there was one recently, a young lady who works in math got $17,000 for her introduction post, and you're like, what the heck? Where is the money coming from? Is this a scam? Is it a Ponzi scheme? So, Gabriel, what do you say to that concern?
It helps to understand, first of all, how all other fiat currencies work. I mean, most of us are not taught about this in public school, so it kind of helps to, research the topic just a little bit. The short answer is that the money that we use today, like most of us, whether it's US dollars, basically any central bank issued currency, is not backed by any physical good. It doesn't actually represent anything tangible. It's simply record keeping. It's not money in the sense that it's not a commodity with any other use. It's just a currency. It's something that represents value that is easy to trade. So like any other cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin, like Litecoin, like any of these other ones out there, Steem is a fiat currency that's not backed by any tangible good. It's simply issued on a regular basis, and its value is based in its utility. So supply and demand determine its value, and value is subjective. People want it because it's useful. So as long as there's people that want it, and the supply is scarce, it's going to have some value. And that value fluctuates. So today, I think Steem is worth just over $2, right? If more people come in that want it, in relation to the supply that's available, the price is going to rise. And that's how these cryptocurrencies work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not a scam. It's it's a complete economy in a box, really. You know, like the Steam Power is the like owning stock in the Steam community. The Steam dollars are a form of liquidity. Actually, the Steam dollars are like bonds; they're debts, and so they earn interest depending on the market price of the Steam dollar, and which I think is right now a little bit under $1 US, and so it'll probably pay interest in this period. So what's another
That
common
might actually
question?
be a useful way. Yeah, sorry, but
Go ahead.
you kind of hit the nail on the head there. That might be a very useful way for newcomers to think of it. Like, imagine you got a job at Microsoft, right? And you show up to work, and everybody there owns stock in Microsoft. So what if you just started, like if you sent somebody out to fetch some coffee or something, or you wanted somebody to do a task for you that also worked at the same company, instead of paying them with dollars, you could just say, hey, if you do this task for me, I'll pay you with stock, because everyone there wants that stock. Everyone values it, that kind of thing. It's an internal currency that everyone there values. Steemit is kind of the same way. Everyone on the Steemit platform values Steem and wants to use it, so it's valuable to us.
Yeah, people are willing to pay for it. In fact, some people are bringing their Bitcoin into the Steem ecosystem, converting it to Steem, the basic the basic unit of currency out of the
Guilty.
three, and then powering up that Steem. That's the process of turning the Steem into Steam Power. In other words, making an investment into the platform. And what's the benefit of having more Steam Power? Why would anybody power up their Steem? Why would they want to have a greater amount of stock in Steem?
So
Whoever.
I can think of actually a
Who are you
few.
asking?
Yeah, whoever wants to grab it,
Yeah,
it's fine.
I can actually think of a few different reasons. I'll come in from a cryptocurrency investor angle at first. For those who were around during the excitement of 2011 and 2013, they got to see the rise of Bitcoin go up by an insane. Um, it's a freaking marvel of 100 times their value, twice. We got to see that twice happen within the span of 3 years. That's a completely unheard of phenomena of value just blowing up. And what it was just people recognizing the potential future of it. So Steemit, from that angle, is very low right now. It's kind of in that it's in that realm where Bitcoin was when it was hovering at $12 before it jumped up to $264 or $284, something like that, first time in 2011. And so just from that angle, coming in, throwing a little money, 20, 30, 40, $100 into Steem, with that prospect of wealth creation and that prospect of an investment increase, that's just unheard of growth, and that's a little alluring. And then from the prospect of new content creators and using Steem for getting, the more their Steem is worth by investing into Steem, the more views they're going to have by nature of the platform. And their leverage, when they throw around money and upvote to other people, they become a certain figure of authority, psychologically speaking, and people are just naturally interested. Where's that money coming from? What's this person so special for? And because of that, you can make that small investment, leverage that with your quality posts and quality comments, and you can actually gain a little more of a platform and viewership earlier than if you were to just wait it out in a much more natural less less.
So, yeah, I mean, the more Steam power you have, the more your votes are worth, essentially. Which, in other words, the more money your votes award.
Exactly.
And yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if any of us are actually saying, "Hey, come on, invest a bunch of Bitcoin into Steam," because it's still very speculative, very early in the process. But you don't actually have to get started. You don't actually have to bring any new money into the system, which is a distinct benefit over other crypto ecosystems. To get started spending Bitcoin, well, you have to buy some. You have to start spending money before you see any benefit. Whether you buy it from a friend, whether you get present two forms of ID to an exchange and transfer money with your bank and stuff. But when you sign up with Steam, you at the time of recording, you get $7 in free Steam, split between Steam dollars, I believe, and Steam power. So you don't actually have to bring any money to the experience. Let's see. Now, I think once a person is convinced that they want to try this out, once a person has signed up, what's the next step, Gabriel? What's the next thing a person should do? A new user.
Keep your mouth shut for a while. No, seriously, we're seeing like
Shut
a
up
bunch of
and give us
newcomers
your
coming
money.
in from various different cryptocurrency backgrounds. Exactly. But no, like it's really important to just take some time and play around, post some stuff just for fun, vote on some things and comment and just engage with the platform for a while without jumping to conclusions because it's complicated, especially if you're new to this whole world. Like if you haven't used cryptocurrencies before or whatever, like even if you have, Steemit is so different than every other platform, it takes time to figure it out. And the white paper is heavy reading. You're not going to like shoot through it in one sitting and understand all of it. So take at least a month to just like immerse yourself in it, play around casually, don't worry too much, and just take your time to absorb everything and process because it takes some time, and that's okay. All of us start from zero. When I first showed up, I didn't know jack. The first time somebody tried to explain it to me, it sounded like it was a little bit like Sue, where you have to tip people and like spend your own money to upvote stuff, and that sounded weird. But I mean, my first month was just kind of playing around and getting used to it and figuring things out slowly and asking questions and not pretending that I know everything just because I've been in Bitcoin for years. Like Bitcoin kind of opened me up and made me it kind of prepared me for Steemit in the sense that I got to watch how a cryptocurrency is born from nothing and how hard it is to get new people to use it and explain some things this foreign to them and all those challenges that come with it. And Bitcoin had to go through challenges that Steemit doesn't have to. It did a lot of the heavy lifting for us. It dealt with the fact that it was the first cryptocurrency, so the state didn't know how to deal with it, banks didn't know how to deal with it. It was a completely foreign concept to people, whereas now Bitcoin kind of paved the way for Steem in a lot of regards. So I think adoption is going to be a lot faster for us with Steem, and the process that we saw play out with that whole several-year incubation period that it had to go through before people caught on and before it came user-friendly, we've kind of skipped over all of that. It's already user-friendly. It's so user-friendly, somebody can come in from Facebook not knowing anything about cryptocurrencies and start earning right away and start using it and start having fun. And your point about how we start with like $7 worth of Steem, that's a really big deal considering the potential for Steem to gain value over time. If it does what Bitcoin did, if it shoots up to being worth $1,000 someday, that $7 that you got just for signing up, that could be worth a lot, especially when you factor in the interest. The interest for holding Steem power, which is like shares, is insane. You can sit there hitting the refresh button, watching your Steem grow just by constant interest payments. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I mean, with all these reasons to start and absolutely no downside, I mean, this is the kind of thing that sells itself. So adoption is going to be really easy for us. We just have to kind of put something in front of people that sells itself and sit back and wait.
Amen. Amen. Do you have anything to add to that, Stephen? Briefly?
From the adoption perspective, like you brought up, I think that the sit back and wait is going to be a lot shorter this time around than it was with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, just simply because of that platform that's been offered and the familiarity with the platform. It's so simple and so familiar to a lot of other very popular platforms that, I mean, though it's a little lacking in features right now that other platforms offer, it's got the core content, and from that, it also adds that ability to make money. And so I think we're looking at a expansion that's going to be kind of like the bubble that Bitcoin originally had. I think we're on the verge of that threshold. I don't necessarily think it's going to go 100 times that value like Bitcoin was. I think it's going to more side on the side of Ethereum, but that's 6 times the value from today. That is likely, in my opinion, because right now a lot of the investors in all cryptocurrencies are split between these different cryptos, praying that one of them is going to take off, and Steem offers that platform to make it natural.
All right, so let's wrap up. I think it's been a good talk. To close, do you want to name a Steem user, content creator that you think it would be wise or helpful for new people to follow? Gabriel, you want to go first?
I'm going to be a schmuck and just plug my girlfriend here, T. Mendieta. We can throw a link in there. She's posting Reciply, and it's basically everything that she's feeding me while I'm making Steem content. So if you like my content, you have to thank her somehow.
Pied Piper, powered by T. Mendieta. Steven, what about you?
Okay, so I have a few people. Again, I've kind of mentioned that philosophical.
No, just one.
Okay, I'll just choose one. I've been following this guy for quite some time on Facebook, so seeing him over on this platform is really exciting for me because I kind of feel that connection in some capacity. The dude's name is where is it? He's always on the front page. Sterling Luxon is the guy's name. He goes by Psychological Anarchist on Facebook, and he posts just some very, very excellent material in regards to why the psychology of anarchism is the most complete form of thinking. That he says that a man leads to anarchism by thinking and by self-completion, and going to the state or seeing authority in any capacity is actually a sign of incomplete mental growth. And so I really recommend his material because he really lays a cohesive and easy to understand structure of why it's the most logical solution to creating a better world.
All right, excellent. Yeah, and I guess my name is Gabriel Pied Piper. Because he got me involved, and he's got useful things to say about the Steem platform at the right times, I think. So I think we're going to wrap up. To our listeners, viewers, I hope you've enjoyed this. We need your questions. We're looking for folks to interview. So please give us your suggestions. Thanks for listening. You can find us on Steemit at steemit.com/@SteemSmart. Now go on and steam it up out there.